Hey, Professor Anton. This is response to your calling out scientific materialists. Um, I guess let me go start off with this. The problem with the perspective you're painting is that you're confusing materialistic thinkers with some kind of absolutism. Materialistic thinkers hold no absolutes. We simply have a shared reality that we've agreed upon that holds predictive reliability. So while we may seem sure of ourselves, it's only because the reality which we have formulated is able to predict new events in that reality. Reality as it exists for all of mankind is merely an approximation. We do not live in a world of absolutes or final determinations. We live in a world of a provisional assent. If when there is no observer, all of reality ceases to exist, that's neat. But we will never see this. We'll never experience this, and thus it is immaterial to any discussion about reality. The way relations factor into scientific materialism is because they help frame the specifics of the situation being described or studied. Whether or not things exist or change beyond the existence of an observer is irrelevant. The observer is simply there to limit the number of variables that need to be listed to describe a given thing. The fact that having an observer and changing the observer's relative position can change what is being observed is actually explained by what is known as the observer effect. And it's also kind of the whole point of scientific materialistic thinking. By being able to have multiple observers and being able to replicate a given concept or thing with multiple observers, we are able to formulate a shared reality which we can all give our provisional assent. The situation where you're using the hair braid and the other doohickey, and you're showing that from the head-on perspective, that you can't tell if one is in front of the other, but you can tell that they're side by side or that is left to right. We don't need to actually think in terms of left to right. It's just a way of aligning our perspectives so that way everybody has a clear image of what is going on. And when you are able to then describe multiple observers, you can then determine that something is a little bit before, and you can create a sort of mental grid by placing all of those people in there. It's a neat function of memory that human beings have developed. It allows us to construct these sort of mental constructs. So granted, there are margins of error, and nothing is absolute, but the more times you're able to verify things, the more times the shared reality we are able to construct proves to be accurate, and the less likely there is that something's going to appear which will somehow violate the materialistic rules which we have discovered through observations. Again, everything we've measured and observed are no more than approximations, but still those approximations are accurate in the sense that accuracy is measured by predictive reliability. That is why we are constantly changing the scales of the numbers that we use while still maintaining the ratios. 2 inches is a meaningless concept without the whole of humanity's shared reality and experience, but what is merely a less accurate approximation than a micron. Now, as for emotions in the human experience, I look at it like this. We have the ability to remember, which makes the collection of atomic and subatomic particles that form our bodies interact with the universe in a very unique way. In the complex quantum equation that would describe the movement and behavior of humans contains our memories as a variable. So, unlike at any other point when these particles were interacting with each other, events which are not concurrently happening are now able to have an effect in the here and now on these particles. While this is interesting and awesome, it is fairly pedestrian. It doesn't change the reality which we observe. It merely describes how we as particles can interact with reality in the way that we do, without having to take metaphysical leaps into reality which cannot be observed, cannot be proven to exist, and which would have to exist outside of the albeit approximate laws of the universe which we have observed and retained with humanity's relatively short-lived memory. So hopefully you find this materialistic perspective of mine useful, and come into the conclusions that you're trying to draw. Thank you.